Gathered friends, welcome to Bionicle Fanon Reviews, the show where I build, review, and showcase every single one of the fan-created, canonized Bionicle models over the entirety of Bionicle Generation 1's 10-year run. In 2005, the LEGO Group officially hosted Dark Hunter and Rahi canon contests, showcasing fan MOCs in official media like books. Even moving onwards all the way up to 2010, fan websites like BZ Power continued to host canon contests, enriching the world of Bionicle with new depictions, artwork, and builds. And even now, there's been a renaissance of canon contests. Thanks to TTV and sponsored by Greg Farshty, the original scribe of Bionicle, we have modern canonization contests depicting characters that we never thought would see the light of day and are still ongoing right now. Now, throughout the show, it is my own goal to own, build, review, and showcase every single fan-created canonized model created for Bionicle, and share these reviews with all of you. And while we mostly stick to canon models, there are a few rare exceptions which shine through. Fan MOCs depicting their versions of Bionicle characters, canon or otherwise, that are so exemplary that they deserve a review of their own.
Before today's review, we have something truly special. Something built to celebrate the 20th anniversary of LEGO Bionicle, designed by an official LEGO designer. Nick von Slogmont, aka Toothdominoes on Twitter, is one of the most prolific LEGO designers for original LEGO themes. He's responsible for some of the Chinese New Year sets, LEGO Boost, the Ideas Voltron set, and more recently Hidden Side and Ninjago, where many of his Hidden Side sets actually include references to LEGO Bionicle in the form of stickers. Now what's really awesome about this model is that to celebrate the 20th anniversary of LEGO Bionicle in 2021, Toothdominoes himself, an official LEGO designer, designed a bust of the Great Spirit Robot, which of course never actually ended up with a physical set back when Bionicle first came out, so he figured why not actually just publish instructions and a studio file for everyone to build themselves. And so here you can see the head of the Great Spirit Robot. Now, every Bionicle fan probably knows what the Great Spirit Robot is, but just in case you aren't aware, this is probably the most important build or character depiction out of any Bionicle set. It essentially is representing their entire universe, the head of the Great Spirit Robot Matanui, and eventually Makuta. After he took over the massive robot body, this is basically where most of the events of the Bionicle story took place, inside the body of this massive robot, and it's really awesome because to date, we have only seen this in Bionicle animations. It was revealed in a 2008 Bionicle animation for The Rising, and was also showcased in the Legend Reborn movie, but never actually as an official LEGO build. Until today. Now I do have to note, obviously this is not an official LEGO product, it is just a fan build, but to be honest, it's probably the closest thing we're going to get to an official 20th anniversary Bionicle set because, for one, it's been designed by an actual LEGO designer, the LEGO instructions are set up very similarly to actual LEGO instructions, and best of all, he even included mock LEGO lifestyle photos, kind of poking fun at the official LEGO 18+ lifestyle photos, so there you have it. That's the closest you're going to get to an official Bionicle set, just with those photos right there. Really do feel like LEGO's official adult 18+ advertising for the LEGO sets. So very, very authentic building experience, authentic to building a LEGO set, and let's just jump right in.
Alright, so here we have a fairly unorthodox Bionicle Fanon review in the fact that this is not actually a construction Bionicle model. As is very obvious that you can see here, this is a fully system-built model. So why does it belong here? Well, obviously this is the head of the Great Spirit Robot. It's very clear from just the bust right here exactly what this is supposed to represent. So already, I'm very happy because it's already done most of its job well if I can immediately look at this and say, there it is, the Great Spirit Robot. So this model is really unique because, again, as I mentioned, it was designed by an official LEGO designer, so it does use a lot of design principles that you can find in official LEGO sets, and it really does come together like you're actually building an official LEGO model, which is really fantastic to see, especially because a lot of these other models, which are built by fans, definitely do not feel like they are designed with the robust standards that the LEGO Group usually factors in with all of their sets. Now, of course, this is not an official set because it is just made by a designer, so for this review, we're going to do this a little bit differently. Instead of talking about stuff like posability and aesthetics and whatnot, which don't really apply here, I'll just be talking about how this came together, how accurate it is, and how fragile it is. So
First of all, let's kind of just take a look here. There are a few things that can actually be moved around on this model, whether intentionally or not. The vocal cord-esque cables on the back here can be angled based on a mixel joint, so I don't necessarily know if they're meant to be angled, but you can really just kind of rotate this however which way you want. You can move this back and forth like so, and you can kind of angle the mouth here, not intentionally, but it is mounted on a hinge, so you do get a little bit of that. And of course the lower mouth here, which we do see open in some Bionicle videos, does bend outwards, but it's not necessarily too realistic in the way it opens. It actually does look a little bit goofy when it's fully opened up, so I don't necessarily know if you want to actually angle it out. It does look better from some angles than others, especially when opened. You can see right here, it looks kind of okay. It actually looks pretty good opened here, but as soon as you turn it to the side, it's very, very strange looking. So I definitely feel like this could have been done a little bit better, but as it is right now, you don't really even need to open it, and this is more of a display piece than anything, so it doesn't really bother me too much. One thing I absolutely love back here is the way this back part was designed. These, of course, are the back kind of armor detailing slash piston detailing or tubes around the back of the neck here that makes it flexible. This looks so good, and the back of this model makes it look just like it was supposed to look in the actual Bionicle animation for the rising and whatnot, so that is really cool for me to see. I really am a big fan of the way the different pieces came together here, using some excellent parts and usages of these particular elements, these slope bracket elements. You do have to get a ton of them, but you can see that despite this using up a ton of the same piece, you actually do have to order quite a lot of these. The end effect is really cool, and I'm very happy with how it turns out because it looks just like the actual thing. Even when looking at this from all sorts of different angles, it's pretty concealed and pretty tight. You don't really see all sorts of multicolored elements. It's pretty dark on the inside, and it doesn't feel like just a facade. This really does feel like a cohesive large face. And as we move on upwards, this uses some deceptively complex and unique building techniques to form the upper head here. So as you can see here, this is actually using some studs on these side techniques. It specifically uses some of these pieces to mount to have the perfect angle achieved with the eye here. As you may see, as I kind of try to move this on outwards just a little bit, it's very, very flush because this is not just a 1x3 brick. This is actually a 90-degree bracket piece that is made to fit quite perfectly in conjunction with the way the eyes are set up, and it's just done so well. You can kind of see, you can see right here, just the way this is set up, angles-wise, it is really fantastic, and it actually took a lot of thought to get this perfectly right, which, when you zoom out, you don't even notice how much engineering work and effort went into it, but as you can see up close right here, it does look really, really fantastic. And of course, as we move up to the eyebrows, I have seen some complaints of people online feeling that the eyebrows are a little bit strange looking or maybe too large. I don't necessarily disagree, but I also don't know of any better way they could have been done system-wise. And I think that in certain angles, the silhouette is pretty good. One unfortunate thing is that from this angle right here, the perfect side view, there are a few strange gaps here, like this is kind of an unsightly gap. It really does feel like to an extent the eyebrows are sort of slapped on almost cartoonishly, so that definitely could be improved somewhat, but as we rotate it to the front here, I'm fairly happy with how it looks, and especially looking at it from the top down or kind of this bottom angle view here, it really does look very appropriate in terms of the actual model. I'm very happy with how this entire sculpt turned out, and overall the eyebrows do not detract too much from this fantastic model. So moving on to the top here, it's just very simple around the top, just using some good sculpting, studs on the side techniques for some tiles here, and honestly, there isn't really too much else to say about this other than the building techniques are pretty superb. One thing that I really do like that honestly is pretty easy to miss is the way that these parts are particularly angled. They're actually very cleverly set at a specific angle using some slightly rounded Lego pieces right in the center there. You can see the slight curvature of that piece, which allows you to mount the mouth at this angle, which becomes very accentuated as you move outwards, but is still very sturdily held in. Nothing's going to come apart. You can't really change the angles of any of this. It all feels very sturdy and has a classy black display stand to boot. So what's there not to like about this? There is one minor gripe I do have, and that is kind of where this piece sits right here. You've got a half cylinder down here that honestly isn't really doing anything. If you removed it, I can see why it would detract from the model, but it definitely does feel a little unfinished to me, just having the exposed studs sitting out there. I don't necessarily know what else could have been done because it definitely would have hit the top piece the way the mouth attaches, but even just covering this up with tiles would have made me feel a little bit better because as it is right now, it is a little bit bumpy. Personally, not my favorite piece usage there. They probably could have done something a little bit more interesting or detailed for the front of the neck, but overall, besides that, it is truly fantastic. And honestly, there isn't too much else I have to say about this. This is a pretty perfect representation of the Great Spirit Robot. Again, immediately recognizable as the thing it is supposed to be. You can see it perfectly based on the way that it appeared in the Bionicle animations that were made all the way back around 2008. I love the way the nose is also shaped on. Didn't really talk about this too much, but the nose shaping really does work out perfectly here. And again, I'm just a big fan of the side silhouette because of the excellent tubing here and the great way that these very distinctive tube-like vocal cord-esque elements really actually match up very well with the actual official model. And so it's probably now a good time to just showcase this alongside some representative samples from the Bionicle universe, which again is a point that we usually do for the construction builds. This is more just to get a sense of scale. So I've brought over Toa Norik here, a standard Metru/Inika size build, just so you can get an idea of how big this is, especially if you're not familiar with the size of system pieces. Maybe you're only a Bionicle builder, so I just wanted to showcase how this looks next to a Bionicle character. It's pretty decently sized. It kind of goes right up to the neck, a little bit above, so it is sized quite well in comparison to a standard Toa Hero, which looks very well on any desk. This is a great desk ornament. And of course, I probably should also compare this alongside the actual images and video reference material of the Great Spirit Robot. So let's play some of those right now, take a look, and see how it compares.
So here we can see some shots of the GSR Great Spirit Robot himself from the Legend Reborn. One thing I do actually like about the model is that it went with the green eyes instead of yellow. I do feel like the green is much more iconic because it was based off of the Rising animation, as it should have been the superior Great Spirit Robot animation, but both are pretty much a very similar model, and you can very clearly see, especially from some top-down shots, just how concerned this model was in terms of accurately replicating the look and feel of the character. Everything down to the tubes on the back of the head, to the side neck pistons or brackets that almost look like vocal cords that I pointed out earlier in the review, everything just comes together really well in the final build that really does pattern the official source material. And it's probably the best version of the GSR head I've seen brick built or even built out of construction parts pretty much anywhere. I have not seen a better one yet. All in all, while there are some things that may be a little off compared to the original animation, the eyes might be a little bit too big compared to the very narrow slits that they were in the Rising animation, and the eyebrows are maybe just a little bit too large on the brick-built one, I think this is basically the best that you can get when you're working with system bricks at this particular scale, and honestly, I have no idea how to make it better, because it's already pretty much nearly perfect to me.
And with that, we have summed up this review of the excellent Great Spirit Robot Motunui bust made by Toothdominoes over on Twitter. Definitely go check him out, give him a follow. Toothdominoes is an official LEGO designer, which makes this even more cool that someone working for LEGO actually was able to put this together. Just such a cool build in general. I'm very happy with how this turned out. And as usual, stay tuned to DuckBricks for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. And stay tuned and subscribe every single Monday for a brand new Bionicle Fanon review, where the topics are usually actual Bionicle construction builds, whether they be MOCs or just other random stuff that has been canonized. But in this case, I wanted to do something a little bit different and showcase a very fun Bionicle 20th anniversary Motunui head model. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you again very soon, and bye-bye for now.